It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Sorare guide for you beautiful beginners out there who have just started playing Sorare, or maybe you're about to start playing Sorare. And the topic of this video is, how much is a Sorare card worth? How much should you pay for a Sorare card? What's too expensive? What's cheap? And I will say, first of all, I've got to say, YouTube's going to be angry at me if I don't say this. It's not financial advice. You spend your money how you want to spend it. I'm just going to show you how I value Sorare cards, how much I think Sorare cards are worth, how much I'm prepared to spend on a Sorare card, and why. And then if you want to take lessons from that, it might be useful for you. I'm basically going to show you how I'm spending money on Sorare and the reasons for that. Now, I'm about to enter my third season in European season as a Sorare manager. I've been playing Sorare for almost 2 years. The first season I joined in like December, so I got like the second half of a season. Last season just gone. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the 6th of August, 2025. So last season just gone was my first full European season on Sorare. We're about to enter my third season, a European season on Sorare. So almost 2 years I've been on Sorare. And how I've valued cards in that time, I'm a very careful manager. I spend cautiously, carefully, do a lot of scouting, do a lot of research. And for me, that's the fun. That's the fun of Sorare, especially when I first started. When I first started Sorare, back in the day, when I first started Sorare, there was no in-season. There was just the capped leagues is what I was playing. There was cap 220 and cap 250, where you had to find 5 guys that had low L15 scores, and then you put them in a little 5-a-side league, and then you could win cash prizes like $10 or something like that. And there was like a cap 250, a cap 220, maybe a cap 270. And it was great because I was only buying really cheap cards, players that were like injured, but I knew were about to come back from injury, or players that were in bad form, but I just believed in them. I thought they were good footballers and I thought they were going to change their form. So all of the cards I was buying were really cheap, because when I first started playing Sorare, I didn't want to spend lots of money. I saw these huge prices and I was like, I'm not paying that much for cards, especially when I don't fully understand the game. So that's my first tip. That's how I started Sorare, very cautiously. And as I'm recording this, there's early access Premier League cards, early access French cards. Basically, we're building up to Sorare 26 right now, and there's early access cards, and they are more expensive. So when I first started, those kind of cards, I was put off. Last season, I didn't buy any early access cards because I was still learning the game, still cautious. Whereas this season, I'm now in a position where I trust the game, trust the market, know a bit about the prices and why they're priced like that. And that's why I'm buying early access cards for the first time for Sorare 26. But I think it's interesting how I started, and you might want to start like this as well. So you may be looking at Sorare now going, oh, this looks fun, this looks like a great game, but you might not want to jump in at those big prices because it will seem daunting to you, I'm sure, if you've never played Sorare before and you're like, wait, this guy's £150 for a limited Saka card or a limited Cole Palmer card. Why are they that much when Eze, for example, is like going for like £30 or £40? So I'm going to talk a bit about why that is, but how I started was very cautiously. So if you want to start like that as well, I think that's a great tip. If you're a cautious manager, you can play the free-to-play mode, or you can just buy a few cheap cards. Not now, I'd wait a few months of the European season, scout the game, scout the players, and then get them at a cheaper price, and then try and win rewards for the rest of the season with those cards. That's what I did last year. I went for Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth and Wolves, and this was a few months into the season when I'd seen them play and I was like, whoa, Forest are going to have a good season. Got a load of Nottingham Forest cards, and they then went on to have a really good season, and I got lots of prizes from those cards, and I think they paid for themselves in the terms of the cash that I won back from the Forest cards. So that's like a kind of thing you could do this year. You could wait a couple of months into the Premier League season or the whatever league you watch. You might want to wait a few weeks, see who the good teams are going to be, and then buy them at cheaper prices. Or you might just want to see what I'm going to say in this video, learn my lessons over the past 2 years, and jump in straight at the deep end, buy early access cards, because you kind of trust that what I'm saying is true and you see the value in it straight away. But at the beginning, when I played Sorare, I didn't see the value in expensive cards. So I was buying cards for really small amounts, like 50p, £1. I'll use English currency for this video because that's my currency. However, you can translate that currency to your currency. But whatever it is, I was buying really cheap cards at first. And then that taught me the value of expensive cards, because I was going, well, my cheap cards, you know, they're getting me these places on the finish places. I'm not getting any podium finishes. I'm not winning huge cash prizes. I'm winning little prizes here and there. And I kind of was like, if I had a bigger card, if I had a more expensive card, I can now see that he would have improved this lineup massively and I would have done better in the league. So that's how I started. Now I'm in a place where I understand the value of things. I get why things are more expensive, and I'm buying early access cards for Sorare 26. So I think that's a good place to start. As always, if you've got any questions about anything in the video, drop me a comment and I'll jump in as soon as I see it and I'll try to respond to it and help you out. If you've got a longer question, you want more of a conversation, you can get in contact with me on X, on Discord, or the YouTube comments, and I'll try to help you out. Also, if you can like and subscribe, massively appreciated. And if you've not played Sorare yet, if you've not joined Sorare yet, and you join with the link in the description below, you'll get £50, dollars, whatever your credit is. You'll get that for free after you've bought your first 5 cards at auction. Now, speaking of auctions, I'm now going to jump into the Sorare auctions and just talk through my thoughts. We'll have a look at some prices. I'll try and say my thoughts around why they're that expensive or that cheap, and then we'll take it from there. Let's jump into the Sorare auction space. Right, gang, here we are in the Sorare auction space on Wednesday, the 6th of August, 2025. And as you can see, Sorare 26 is kind of about to start. The European seasons are less than 2 weeks away. So these are the leagues that are currently on the auction. We've not got the Spanish league yet. We've not got a few other European leagues, but we've got the Premier League, we've got the French League, and we've got a few other leagues. In this video, I'm going to just talk about Premier League cards because that's my favorite league. That's my area of expertise. I'm from England. I'm a Chelsea fan. So the Premier League's, but I think the lessons and the things I'm saying will be applicable no matter where you're playing. So the first thing I want to say about valuing a Sorare card is it's different for everybody. You may have more money to spend. Like if Elon Musk is going to start playing Sorare, obviously for him it's different. He's got loads more money to throw away and disposable money that he doesn't mind losing. If you've got a really tight budget, be careful. Don't just go spending more than you have. Find what you're happy to lose, and that's what you spend on Sorare. The same you do with any kind of hobby. If you collect Pokemon cards, if you collect physical football cards, like I have here, you can see my background. I got physical football cards. And those have been bought with money, not for any purpose, just because I enjoy them. And that's what you should think of with Sorare cards. It's a hobby. It's something you can collect. It's something you can enjoy watching football. It enhances football for me, especially when you watch games and you've got a Sorare card from that game playing and you're like, I really want him to do well. You're watching him closely because every tackle he wins, every pass into the final third he makes, it's more exciting because it's getting you Sorare points. So only spend what you can afford to lose. That's always been my approach. I've always gone, okay, you know, I'm very careful with my budgeting. Every month we're like, okay, this is, you know, money to play with. And that kind of money I put into Sorare sometimes. So that's one thing you got to be careful of. Don't spend more. Don't gamble. Don't go crazy. Don't spend more than you can afford. Spend what you can afford to lose. Second thing, some people like to collect. So if you like to collect, a card's value is going to be worth more to you than if you're not really into collecting. If you just want to play Sorare to try and, say, buy in-season cards, just buy 5, build one lineup, try and win as much as you can with that lineup, and then sell the cards. You're not into collecting. You just want to buy cards to win cash and then get rid of those cards at the end of the season. That's perfectly fine. There's other people out there. I'm kind of in the middle. There's other people who really like collecting. They have a favorite team, like, I don't know, like my team, Chelsea, and they'll buy Chelsea cards, all the Chelsea cards, every single season because they like collecting them. They like seeing the collection in their gallery. They like looking over the cards. And I get it because I'm like that with other things. And I'm a little bit like that with Sorare. Like, I've got these collections from past years where I've only got one full complete collection, and it's Santos Laguna, who are my Mexican team. That's the Mexican team I support. And when I joined Sorare, it was 2023-2024 season. This was the in-season Santos collection at the time, and I got quite a few of these from auction. And then the following season, I went up and I picked up all of the rest because it wasn't like a massive collection. There's some teams with loads of cards in them. This Santos collection, there's not that many cards in them. So I spent the next season, when the cards were all cheaper, just going around hunting them, trying to find managers who will like trade a really cheap card with me or buying them for like really cheap, because Santos aren't exactly the best team in the world. So lots of these cards weren't that expensive. They were like literally like 20p, 30p, some of them. But it was really fun for me just going around the market for like, it took me like a year to do this and just collecting them. So the value is a lot now, because I love just going now and again. I'll just be on my Sorare collection page and I'll just go, let me look at my Santos collection again. Oh, and I just like seeing how they all look. They're all there. There's a full complete collection. It's the only complete collection I have. And also what I like is I like looking at these pictures and going, he's not there anymore. He went to like LAFC and now he's at Cruz Azul. Brunetta, he's at Tigres now, but what a player he was. This was his last season at Santos and he was so good. One of the best players in the Mexican league I've ever seen. So I like looking through this card and going, this guy's at America now. He's not, like most of these guys aren't at Santos anymore. This guy plays in Chile. This guy plays in Cuba. This guy, this guy's banned from football because he failed a drug test. So I like looking through this collection, and that for me is worth it. So I bought these cards and I don't want to sell them because the money I paid for them, it's worth it for me. So if you're a collector, cards are going to be worth more to you than other people. If you're not a collector, you wouldn't buy any of these cards because you're like, they're not useful for Sorare. I'm never playing this guy, Diego Medina. I'm never playing these guys because I've sealed them. Emerson Rodriguez, Preciado, the backup goalkeeper. Like, I don't play them, but I don't want to sell them because I like them for the collection points. So that's something to think about. If you're a collector, think of that when you're buying the cards. It's not just playing them in Sorare. You also get, if you like to keep them, that's something you should value. Now, the whole, is it worth it for the cash prizes that you can win back from the card, is up to you and how much you want to spend. Because let's go back to the marketplace. Let's go to the auctions. Because especially with Sorare 26, and they have a hot streaks competition right now, with boosted rewards, there's a good chance in the first couple of weeks of the Premier League season to get some of that cash back. Now, that's not a guarantee. You might go out and buy Matt Sells, Delict, Elliot Anderson. You might buy these 5 cards. That might be your Sorare collection. And you might think, okay, I've got all of these cards. They're going to win me cash. And they might not. Sander Berge might be terrible. I mean, he's not the highest scoring Sorare card. This might not be a good example, but that's just the top 5 that were there. So you're not guaranteed to win it. However, if you play earlier in the season, there's less peak people playing because most people buy their cards as the season progresses. So you've got less people playing at the beginning. Also, the Sorare incentivize you to play early on, so the cash prizes are higher. The hot streaks that they have at the moment are ×5 for the first week of the season. So you're paying more for that reason. If you don't feel comfortable with that, like I said earlier in the video, wait. You can always wait for later. Now let's talk about prices. Now, teams like Manchester United, Liverpool, these are like hugely supported clubs around the world. Manchester United are a brand. They have fans all over the world. So a Manchester United card that scores the same as a Nottingham Forest card is going to be more expensive because you're paying because people want to have that. So bear that in mind. If you're a Manchester United fan, unfortunately, you support one of the most popular supported clubs in the world. So as a result, there's more Sorare people wanting to buy Manchester United cards, so their prices are more expensive. So if value is the most important thing to you, I'd suggest avoiding popular teams because you're paying for the popularity. However, if you are a Manchester United fan, you might want to pay a bit extra because it's really nice to have your team as a Sorare card and have your players. Have your favorite players. That's a nice feeling, but you've got to pay for that feeling. But, however, it could be worth it. I'll give you an example. Last season, I got a Cole Palmer card, my favorite Chelsea player. And it feels really nice still to see that Cole Palmer card, to see it in my gallery, to use it, to watch Chelsea games and go, I've got that Cole Palmer card in one of my lineups. That feels really nice. However, I paid more for that Cole Palmer card than I could have a similar scoring player from another team, maybe lower down in the Premier League. So that's something to think about. It's not just how the player scores. Elliot Anderson here, I'm just using him as these cards as an example because they're there. Elliot Anderson has a 51 overall in his last 15 games. That's his score. Matthijs de Ligt, 42. However, he might go for more than Elliot Anderson because he plays for a more popular team. That's something to think about. Now, let's take a look at the auctions that are ending soon. So these cards are about to be sold. This guy from Leeds is about to be sold for £4. Nori at Manchester City is about to be sold for £49. And you can see already the big difference in a Man City card and a Leeds card. Now, the Leeds card is probably not going to score as well as the Man City card because it's not as good of a team. However, you can look at Chelsea cards, you can look at Everton cards, you can look at Aston Villa cards, and you can take an approach of, I'm not going to go for the top teams. If you don't want, so let me rephrase this. If you want to go and buy the best players, you can do that, absolutely. Go buy Saka, go buy Salah, go buy Florian Wirtz, go buy Van Dijk, and go buy Edison as your goalkeeper, or Haaland. You know, but if you don't want to really scout and you don't want to stress over players who aren't guaranteed to do well every week, you can just go out and buy the biggest players. What I do and what I would recommend you do is write your wish list. Right, okay, I need 5 cards to make a lineup. Let's just start with one lineup. Then you can build a second lineup after with this same formula. But just build one lineup of 5 cards and go, I need a goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, striker, and then one other card. Who would that be? So write your dream lineup. Go, okay, it would be like Edison in goal, Van Dijk in defense, Saka in midfield, Salah as a forward, and then Haaland as the extra card. I'm not saying they're the best cards. I'm just picking random names out of my head. Go on the auction now and go, okay, you can see any card's price. Anthony Gordon, for example, just because he's here. You can go and study what they're selling for. So you go on the price graph on any player. You can go on in-season cards. I'm assuming you want to buy in-season cards. You can also play classic cards, which is a lot cheaper than in-season. However, the prices aren't as good as in-season. However, that could be another way you want to start. Classic cards are cheaper than in-season cards. You might want to learn the game with classic cards at cheaper prices, learn the scoring matrix and all of that, and then next season, or maybe in 6 months, you might be ready to go to in-season. But let's assume you want to play in-season and you want to ignore the prices at the very beginning. So any time the early access cards come out, the first prices are always a price discovery phase. So you want to ignore, say, this. Most graphs look like this. They have a spike at the beginning and then they level out. And when they level out, you can see what you should be paying for that card. So whether you think it's worth it or not is irrelevant. This is what an Anthony Gordon will cost you if you get it from auction. Maybe you get lucky, you can get it secondhand at manager sales. But if you're going to get it from auction or instant buy, £31 seems to be like a kind of high, and a low seems to be £23. So if I wanted an Anthony Gordon card, I would look to pay in between there, and I would keep bidding on auctions, keep bidding on instant buys at this point, at like £28, £27, because that's what it costs for an Anthony Gordon. So write your wish list of your 5 players you want for your lineup, find out the mid-range point of what they're currently going for, add that value, add all of the values up. And now remember, if you're playing in season, you can use 1 classic card. So it's 4 in season, 1 classic. So make sure you also look at the classic prices and see like what would be the cheapest way of doing it with a classic card and then 4 in season cards. And then you've got your value. That's how much it costs. Now, you should have a budget value as well. How much is your budget? And if they don't align, if what you want is too expensive, then you can't do it. So then you've got to go, okay, where can I reduce value? And that's where you look at the market. That's where you go, okay, what I like to do is I like to give myself a value of what I want to spend. So I kind of go, this season I've kind of gone, okay, I want to spend like £30 to £40 on every player in my lineup. So and there are exceptions. I'm a Chelsea fan, so some of the Chelsea players like Moises Caicedo, Cole Palmer, these kind of players are really expensive, or not really expensive, it's all comparative, but they're more expensive than they're not in the 30 to 40 pound bracket. They're like double that. Cole Palmer is way more than that. So you might want to make an exception. You might want to go, I want one expensive player because I really like him, and then the rest I'm going to try and go for 30 to 40 pounds. But find your budget, okay? Once you have your budget, let's say, for example, it's 30 pounds. Let's say you've gone, okay, I'm going to get a classic goalkeeper because goalkeepers are the most expensive players. I'll buy a classic goalkeeper for about 30 pounds, and then I'll buy 30 pound players in all the other places. 330 times 5 is, you do the maths at home, 150 pounds. That would be your budget for that 150 pounds. So you get a goalkeeper classic for £30. You get 4 in-season cards for £30. Then you just go to the market. And by the way, all of these are limited cards. If you want to play rare, which is more less competitive because less people are playing them, the cards are more expensive, but you can use this same kind of thinking. Find your hit list, scout the market, keep looking at them. Say you want Kobe Mino. If he's in your dream 5, keep looking at him. Don't just buy the first one you see, go, okay, this is going for £8 at 18, but I kind of wanted to spend £7 on him. You can see any player's card. You can see the past sales, 12, 10, 8, 8, 9. So you can kind of see what people have been buying him for. And if this is too much for you, you can always wait for the next one, or you can wait for manager sales to get him second hand. Be patient, basically. Don't just rush in. That's how I play. If you want to rush in, you go rush in. But what I do is I get a budget, I make my wish list, and then I scout the market for that. So players like Ollie Watkins here, £33. I think if you're not going to go for the big names, you've got to have a bit more football knowledge, and you've got to scout the market a bit more carefully. So if you don't really want to Haaland, you might just want to throw Haaland in and go, okay, I know Haaland's a good striker, scores up to goals for Man City, I'll just buy him and I won't scout. If you want to be a bit more careful with your money, you might want to go, okay, Ollie Watkins has scored more goals than Haaland last season. And you might want to look at his form and go, okay, there's bad scores here. Bad score, bad score, bad score, bad score. But you've got to use your football brain. You've got to use your football knowledge. And remember, Aston Villa really fell off towards the end of the season last year. When they got knocked out of the Champions League against PSG here, it really took a knock to their confidence. They got knocked out of the Champions League. Then they started dropping down the league table, and their season kind of collapsed towards the end of the season. So this isn't really a fair assessment of Ollie Watkins. Better to look at maybe earlier on in the season where you got these big scores. You've got nice scores here. Look at this period here where you got all these green scores in a row. That's what Ollie Watkins is capable of. And also, last season, Ollie Watkins had more competition for places. This season, I think he's Aston Villa's only recognisable striker. They've lost Rashford, they've lost Asensio, they've not signed anyone as yet who can kind of replace those people. So Watkins should be guaranteed game time if he stays at Villa. So this is the kind of thing where you go, and he's going for £30. He's going for 33. What was it? £33? He's gone now. We've lost him. We've lost Watkins. But he was going for like £33. Whereas if you look for Haaland's going for £112. And his scores, he had a great period here, but there were plenty of times last season when Haaland was doing this. And yes, he has these really good peaks. When he peaks, he peaks. But then when he dips, you're paying £112 for someone that's going to have periods where he can do that. Because when Haaland doesn't score, he doesn't score well. When he scores, sure, he does well. But last season, there were lots of times when he had periods like this. Now look at this. This is similar to what we saw from Ollie Watkins. So that's something you might want to do. You might want to look at players like Haaland and go, he's £112. He's my dream striker. I want Erling Haaland. But then you look at your budget and you go, I can't afford Haaland. So let me look at his scores and let me find someone with similar big patches of form like this. Ollie Watkins is just one that I saw now. There's other strikers out there who have gone through phases of scoring like this. There's other players who score like this that are a lot cheaper than Haaland. So you might want to readjust your budget and go, okay, I still need someone that scores well. Who's that going to be? And that's where football knowledge comes in. So if you've got a big budget, great. Go out and buy the best cards. You don't have to think too much. Salah, Saka, Haaland, all of these guys, Van Dijk, Florian Wirtz, all the big guys. Get them. You don't really need to think too much. They'll do the business for you. You'll win some prizes. For me, that's not fun. That's how I've never played Sorare. I like to go, okay, where's the value? And I think the value is in, just like in that example there, Haaland and Ollie Watkins. I think they're not that dissimilar in terms of Sorare scores. I think if you look at next season's narrative, Man City didn't have a great season last year. They're not guaranteed to have a great season this year. I think they're going to be better this season. However, you might want to take the risk that I'm going to gamble that Man City aren't going to be good again this year, and that Pep's really going to struggle, and that he's going to maybe leave, and that all the court cases against City are going to come out, and it's going to be a disastrous season for City. They didn't do well in the Club World Cup. They didn't look confident. They've got loads of new faces. Are they going to gel straight away? Is Haaland going to get regular service like he did when De Bruyne was there? De Bruyne's left now. You might want to use your football brain and go, these are the narratives. Whereas Aston Villa, they're really up for it this year. They've got no Champions League football, which means they might rest their players in Europe and they might play their best players in the Premier League. So Ollie Watkins could be a better option than Haaland. Or I'm just using Ollie Watkins because we just literally saw him. But Solanke at Tottenham, let's have a look at what Solanke's going. So look at Solanke, 18 minutes left in the auction and he's going for £18. Now you could get so many Solankes for one Erling Haaland. And you might want to use your football brain again and go, okay, Tottenham, confidence is flowing. They've just won the Europa League. They've got a new manager, Thomas Frank. He's an established Premier League manager. He knows what he's doing. He's going to get the best out of Solanke like no other Spurs manager has. I'm not saying this is correct. I'm saying that might be your thinking. And if that is, that's how you've got to think of, that's how I think of Sorare. I scout all the cards out there. And one thing I do, and one thing I would recommend everyone does, new people on Sorare, is just like, I spend hours, and I've been playing for a few seasons now, but I still, before I buy any cards, I spend hours, days, just looking at the auctions, studying the prices, going, Paqueta is going for £13. Interesting. Bukayo Saka is going for £133, way more. Obviously, he's probably going to score better than Paqueta this year, but is he going to score that much more than him? Is it worth that? Do I have that in my budget to spend? And if you keep looking at the market, keep studying the prices, keep making notes. I have a spreadsheet of all the players I'm interested in, and I keep an eye on the prices for them, and just keep an eye on, okay, Dragusin's going for that much because he's injured. Oh, okay, maybe it's a good idea to get some injured players, and then when they come back from injury, you bought them for cheap. That might be a strategy. So how you play is completely up to you. But I think it's a good idea just to study the auctions, study the prices, and kind of go, okay, Pedro Neto is going for £25. I don't know if he's going to be first team for Chelsea next season. That seems a bit risky, so I wouldn't do that. Gelhardt for Leeds. I don't know much about Leeds. I didn't see much of them last season, but £1.64, that could be a really good value if he plays. If he doesn't play, that's a waste of money. That's not, even though it's cheap, he's not worth it. So keep an eye on the prices. And what happens is you kind of start to feel a value. You start to go, okay, it seems like good rated players are around about £30 to £40 this year. Or maybe you say, okay, they seem to be around £60 to £70. I get a guaranteed smasher. I get Caicedo for £70. I get someone like that who's a Mr. Consistent. João Pedro's £79. Now, João Pedro is quite an interesting player because he seems really exciting to me, João Pedro, going for £79. That's more than Dominic Solanke. Maybe Solanke is more guaranteed for minutes, but maybe Pedro's got a higher ceiling if he nails on that starting place for Chelsea. These are the decisions you have to make. Now, there's risks with all of them, but I think it's great to scout the market for a while to see prices, because then what happens is you might see an opportunity, and this is what I've done quite a few times, where the players that you want, you just keep in your head. Say you really want Dean Henderson, you keep seeing him in the auction at like 50. Let's say, for example, I don't know if this is the case, I've not looked at Dean Henderson. Let's say £70 is what Dean Henderson keeps going for before the Premier League season, early access, Sorare 26. Let's say, for example, Dean Henderson, you keep seeing him at £70 and you're like, I really want Dean Henderson. He's a solid goalkeeper. Crystal Palace have got a good defense. If you keep watching the auctions and you know in the back of your head, Dean Henderson usually goes for about £70. 8 minutes left, he's going for £49. you can pounce on these kind of things. You can go, oh, this might be there are opportunities in the market where players, for whatever reason, maybe it's like really late in the UK, and that's when the Premier League's biggest audience isn't active anymore, and you're up at like 2 a.m. in the UK, you check the auctions, sometimes the prices are a little bit like, oh, there's just not that many people on it at this time. So, oh, Dean Henderson's at 49. I know he goes for 70 usually. Bang, I'll get an auction in at like £52 or whatever you'd have to pay for him now. Bargain. You've got him for less than he currently goes for. That's kind of like what I like to do. Kind of have a value. It doesn't happen that often. Usually the players get sold for their kind of what they should go, what they kind of not should, but what they kind of are valued at. Like we looked at the Anthony Gordon graph, most of the prices are in a tight band. There's not that many great opportunities, but there's like, you can get a couple of pounds off what they should go for sometimes. And sometimes you've got to use the story narrative. You might want to go, okay, the Community Shield is the Premier League's curtain raiser of the season. That's going to happen at the weekend. If Crystal Palace win and beat Liverpool, all the Crystal Palace cards are going to go up. So what happens in the world of football affects the prices and Sorare. So if you really want a card that has a chance that they might go up, say they may get a transfer. Say you want Brian Mbeumo. You're a Manchester United fan and you wanted Brian Mbeumo because you knew he's going to go to Manchester United, and this is before he actually went. You might want to buy his card before he goes, because then when he goes and it's official, his price will go up. So that's another thing to think about when you're valuing cards. You might want to avoid them because you might want to go, I'm going to wait till he goes a bit cheaper. But like with the Crystal Palace example or the Liverpool example, if they win the Charity Shield game at the weekend before the Premier League starts, there's going to be a lot of hype, and hype affects prices massively. So don't get caught with hype. If you really want a Palace player, you might want to get it before the Community Shield, because if Palace win, you're going to have to pay more afterwards. Also, I'm guessing before the Premier League starts, the few days before the season starts, the price is going to go up because everyone's going to be like, oh, I quickly need to get some players before the season starts. I've got all of these holes in my lineups. I need a goalkeeper. I need a striker. So the price is going to go up. So try and do your business a bit earlier than that. Try and do it a few days before that. Just think, when will prices go up? That's something to think about. Now, this has been a bit of a ramble from me, this guide. I've just given you a dump of information here. And these are my thoughts on how I value Sorare. This season, I'm getting Chelsea cards because I'm a Chelsea fan and I want Chelsea cards. And I'm getting early access cards because I've seen that there's nice cash prizes available and hot streaks available early on in this season. And I'm fairly confident over the entirety of the season. So remember, when you're buying an in-season card, it's for the whole season. You're not just buying it for one game week. You're not buying it for 2 game weeks. You're buying it for the whole season. And then after that season, it's a classic card that you keep and you get to play in classic. Or you can sell it for less money than you bought it for. But I wouldn't advise thinking of Sorare as like, I need to get my money back on that card. Don't think I need to buy Daniel James from Leeds and I want to get £4.39 back from him. I want to buy him for £4.39 and I want to sell him for £4.39 or more. I want to sell him for £5. It's very rare that you can do that. So I would never, that's not how I play Sorare. I never expect to get my money back from the card. But what I do expect is I kind of calculate how many cash prizes are available. Go look at the Sorare competition that you want to enter. If it's Premier League, go look at the Premier League Sorare competitions. Look at the cash prizes that are available. If you finish in the top 100, if you finish in the top 1,000, look at the hot streaks for the Premier League. Look at how much cash you can get if you hit certain scores, and kind of go, if I buy these 5 cards, will they, over the course of the season, return my money and then maybe more? And if you think it will, then I think the card is worth that price. If you think Haaland's 100 and something pounds, I'm not guaranteed he's going to return my investment over the course of a whole season, then that's your indicator. The last thing I want to say, and this has been a bit of a rambly video, but I didn't know how else to do that. That's how I best communicate, just dumping my information. The last thing I'll say is kind of go with your gut is what I like to do. If a card feels cheap, usually, after a while, you'll go, oh, he should be more than that. That's usually a good sign. Because after a while of seeing Sorare cards and prices and playing with Sorare cards, you just get a feel for like, yeah, that card's at £10. I'll give you an example, and this is not guaranteed to pay off whatsoever, but I've just bought myself a João Paulinho card for £13. And you can see now he's going for £15, but he's around about £15 to £13. I've just bought a João Paulinho card yesterday. And the reason why I bought that is because I thought I've been looking at Premier League midfielders for this season and kind of getting a few around £30 to £40 mark. I think I got some for £60. And then I was like, João Paulinho is £15. I got him for like £13.50 or something like that. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going a little bit under the radar. I remember for him from Fulham, I think he had a bad year at Bayern Munich last year, and that's why his score's so low. He's got a 36 L15. I think people are looking at that and being put off. I think people are looking at his data and going, oh, look at all these terrible scores. But he was at Bayern Munich, where he was signed by one manager. That manager left, company came in, and then didn't really want to play him. So he had a really unfortunate season last year, and I don't think that's fair to judge him on. Go back to when he was at Fulham. This is the great thing about Sorare. You can go all the way back, look at his past scores. This is when he was at Fulham. And look at these scores. Much higher, nice peaks, nice runs of form here. And this is at Fulham. I think he's now going to be playing at a better team with a manager like Thomas Frank. And also, I feel like Tottenham really need a midfielder like him, someone to hold that midfield together. So you use your football brain, you use your football knowledge, and then that's how I arrived at the decision to buy a João Paulinho card for this season, because I think he's going to do well, in my opinion. That's why I bought him at this kind of price. And the other players I was looking at who I think are going to do as well as him are going for more money. But that's my opinion. You might think Spurs are going to have a terrible season. You might think João Paulinho is past it, that he was terrible at Bayern Munich. He's going to be terrible at Spurs. And that's your opinion, and that's fine. But find your version of João Paulinho, basically. Find your bargains if you want to play like that. If you just want to go out and buy the biggest names, go out and buy the biggest names. If you want to use your budget more carefully, these are where the opportunities are. You've got to use your football brain, your opinion, and it's so fun, honestly, because you're then really invested. Like, I don't care about Spurs. I don't care how Spurs... Ideally, I don't really want Spurs to win because they're a threat to Chelsea. However, now I've got a bit of investment. Now I want João Paulinho to score well. So if Spurs win, I'll be like, at least João Paulinho got a good score. So you give yourself a kind of like... That's another way to think of it, another way to play the game. There's so many ways to play Sorare. Play it how you want. I hope this video has been useful in how I value cards, how I price cards. Sometimes they seem expensive. I get that, because when I first started playing Sorare, I was like, whoa, these cards seem expensive. So I didn't buy them. I bought really cheap cards. You can do that too. You can just buy really cheap cards. Or if you've kind of understood what I'm saying in the video, you might see value in why they're expensive, because they get big scores usually. They score well on Sorare, and then you win cash prizes. If you get 5 of them in a good lineup together, then you can win a nice cash prize and you start to pay back that card. If you've got really cheap cards, it's harder to pay them back. However, you've spent less money, so you don't need to get that money back as urgently. If that makes sense, let me know in the comments. If this guide has been useful, I hope it has. I hope you enjoy Sorare. It's really fun. Start off however you feel comfortable, with whatever budget you feel comfortable. Just buy one card. Once you bought one card, you've kind of got a price point to base your decisions on. If you buy a midfielder for £50, you can then go, okay, I bought this guy for £50. Oh, well, look at this guy. He's £40, and I think he's going to score just as well as my £50 guy, so I think it's worth it. Oh, this guy's £60, and I don't think he's going to score as well as my £50 guy, so it's not worth the £60. It's all about your valuation. There is no, I guess the conclusion to this video is there's no definite correct price. That's your decision. I've just given you how I spend my journey. If you want to follow a cautious approach like I have, you can do that. If you want to jump straight in, do that. Have fun. If you've never played Sorare, use the link in my video. I'll see you next time. I make Sorare videos on my channel all the time. I make weekly videos called Road to Sorare Boss. Every Thursday I record those videos. So go check that out as well. Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Good luck with your Sorare journey. I'll see you next time. Peace.